Welcome, everybody. Welcome to a new podcast. Today, I'm here with Alice Dee, and we're going to talk about her book, What You Can Do um, for the planet. Alice, do you want to introduce yourself more to our listeners?
Oh, sure, Vegaani, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast. And I'm very happy to be here. My name is Alice Dee, and I'm an author, scientist, chef, and a longtime advocate for sustainable living, ecological well-being, and wildlife conservation. I've written 19 books on topics like plant-based nutrition, food forest, animal rights, and environmental stewardship. My ecological book is called What You Can Do for Your Planet, and it's a practical guide to help people reduce their adverse impact on our planet Earth through simple lifestyle changes, home projects, and community action. My goal is to empower people to understand that every choice we make has an effect on planet Earth, and that we all have the ability to create positive ecological change with our choices that is magnified as more people align with those same choices. So that's why it's important for us to speak out and let others know about the choices we're making and why.
What did why did you write? Uh, why did you decide to write this book?
Oh, well, I wrote this book because many people care about the environment because, hey, we all live in it. It's something we share with all other living creatures. But they might feel overwhelmed or unsure about where to start making a positive impact. There's just so much information out there on the internet these days, and a lot of it feels either too basic or too unrealistic. I wanted to create a guide that is practical, encouraging, and accessible to everyone, whether you're just beginning your sustainability journey or you've been living green for years. The book breaks down three things so that people can grow at their own pace, three basic levels. And my hope is that people who read it feel empowered rather than discouraged, and that they can see how meaningful their individuals' actions truly are, as well as a good place to start, a good place to move up from the starting area, and then finally more advanced practice that'll help the planet.
Mm, your book has three parts: easy access and further efforts, and greener challenges. Why did you choose this structure?
Well, just to recap, the book has the three parts are easy actions, further efforts, and greater challenges. And that's what I was talking about before, is the staging up your environmental activism. And I chose that structure because sustainable living is a journey, not a competition. People need space to grow, and they need to feel successful at each stage. So the first part and the first stage focuses on simple changes everyone can make right away, things like reducing their energy use, choosing greener transportation, or eating more plant-based meals. The second part introduces deeper lifestyle shifts, like growing food at home by planting a food forest or reducing plastic waste. And the third part explores bigger commitments, such as advocating for policy change at a government level, environmental activism, and building sustainable land-based communities. And I think this step-by-step approach helps people build confidence and momentum towards the higher stages of activism as an environmental activist.
Um, in the first part of your book, you're talking about um, easy access. Can you explain um, share some explanations? So,
Right. The first part of the book's called Easy Actions, and I can definitely give you some examples of what that might be. Easy actions are small changes that don't require much time, money, special knowledge, or the assistance of other people. For example, switching to LED lights, unplugging electronics when they're not in use, choosing reusable bags, or taking shorter showers. These may seem simple, but when millions of people do them, the impact is enormous. I also talk about the vital importance of embracing a plant-based diet, even if it's just a few meals a week to start with. These small steps help people build sustainable habits without feeling overwhelmed. And that's why they're called the easy actions portion of the book.
Um, why do you include plant-based eating as an important action for the planet?
Oh, well, I think plant-based eating is probably one of the most important things you can do as an individual. It's one of the most powerful ways to reduce your ecological footprint. It lowers greenhouse gas emissions substantially. It saves vast amounts of water. It reduces land use considerably, and it protects wildlife habitats and wildlife. It also supports personal health, and it reduces the demand for industries that harm animals and ecosystems. Even small shifts, like choosing plant-based meals a few times a week, makes a meaningful difference. And for people who want to go fully vegan and boycott animal misuse entirely, it's one of the most impactful and ethical lifestyle choices that you can make for the planet, our health, and our fellow.
Oh, you disappeared for a second.
Oh, I thought I was still here.
Okay. But yeah, you disappeared for a second. So, can you please repeat a little bit, Asa?
Oh, okay. Let's see. I was talking about plant-based eating and why it's such an important action for the planet. And it really helps you reduce your ecological footprint by reducing greenhouse gas emissions, land use. It also saves a lot of water, and it helps protect the habitat of our fellow creatures, our wildlife. That I've spent a considerable amount of time working on wildlife conservation projects. So if you really want to help the planet, really plant-based diet is the way to go. You have major, say, climate activists and environmental activists following a plant-based diet for exactly that reason. I really don't think you can be an environmentalist without following a plant-based diet, because you're just not putting your diet where your mouth is. You're not believable as an activist unless you're plant-based when it comes to environmental matters. Um, and I think even small shifts, like starting going plant-based a few times a week, can really make quite a substantial difference. And veganism is the boycott of animal misuse, but it is also a very potent environmental choice. By boycotting all animal products, we can help the planet as well as our fellow creatures, which I think is an admirable objective.
In the first. In the second part, you're talking about future efforts. And what does this level mean?
Well, this is, I guess it could be future efforts, but it's also called further efforts. And I think it's intended to indicate things that you can do for your planet that require a bit more planning or commitment, but they offer even greater benefits in the long run. So these include things like starting a food forest at home, which is basically planting fruit and nut trees in your backyard, maybe some berries and also some lower level plants if you can. And like for greens and so on, and then choosing sustainable landscaping, reducing your use of single-use plastics, which are not environmentally beneficial, and supporting ethical brands that are use sustainable methods, brands that are plant-based. These help people move, and these steps, these further steps, if you like, help people move from basic awareness into deeper engagement with ecological activism. They're still very doable, but they do require intention. They might require a little bit of investment, financial investment, and they do create long lasting positive change. So it's a good idea to spread these ideas. When you are planting your food forest, make sure you tell your friends you're doing it. Invite them over to take a look at your food forest and see what you're up to. So, share some of your food with them. Let them know that there's a pretty easy step that they can take to improve their health and improve their ecological footprint.
And we also did a podcast about food forests, so for everybody
We
that wants to
did.
check that out later.
Yes, please share the link. I also have a book on the food called the Food Forest Guide. So if anyone's interested in getting started, they can look at that book also and get information on getting started with a food forest. We grow one here. It's an exhibition food forest. We bring people to tour it and see what we're doing. And it's in its I think it's in its fifth year, so it's growing. It's not at its full maturity yet, but I think it's important for people to see that even a growing food forest does produce food. So it's a great idea.
Um, your book includes a chapter about at home. What can people grow at home realistically if they don't have access to a large plot?
Well, we've also already talked about what a food forest is. It's basically you're planting. You take your big trees, your oaks and your eucalyptuses, or that's what we have a lot of in Northern California. And then underneath that canopy, you grow fruit trees and nut trees. And then underneath that canopy, you grow berries. And then underneath the berries, you grow greens or other food plants. So that's the basic food forest concept. And instead of planting in rows like you might in a traditional food garden, you create layers, and like trees, shrubs, vines, herbs, ground covers, root crops, and all of them work together. Food forests are low maintenance once they're established. It does take a year or two, maybe three even, to establish them so that they can, the plants, the trees especially, can bring water up from the ground. But once they are established, they regenerate soil, they support pollinators like bees, and they produce food year after year. So they're one of the most sustainable ways to grow food at home, and they help people reconnect with nature in a beautiful way. Once you start nurturing a tree that then nurtures you by feeding it, you start to see the cycle of life. And that really is a beautiful, harm-free way of living, is providing that sustenance to a tree, and then the tree provides sustenance for you. So it's a beautiful thing.
Forests. So, you also talked about reducing single-use plastics. Why is this important?
Well, single-use plastics, in case people haven't heard yet, they are one of the biggest source of pollution on the planet. They end up in oceans, rivers, soil, and even inside our bodies. They harm wildlife, they contribute to microplastic contamination, they take hundreds of years to break down. Reducing their use is one of the simplest and most effective ways to protect ecosystems. In my book, I offer practical tips like choosing reusable containers, avoiding plastic packaging by buying food from uh, farmers markets and produce sections that don't involve plastic packaging, and supporting companies that use sustainable materials in their packaging as well.
Um, you also talked about. Oh, yeah, already. And, what does it means to support sustainable brands? And give
Oh,
you
that's a
some
good
examples of them.
question. I think there's actually quite a lot of confusion about that, so I'm glad you asked. For me, supporting sustainable brands means choosing companies that prioritize environmental responsibility, ethical labor practices, and transparency. Often, their environmental sustainability will be advertised on the labels of their packaging because they're proud that they are, in fact, doing these things that are beneficial for the planet. These brands often use eco friendly materials, they reduce waste, and they often even give back to environmental causes from their profits. So, when consumers support these companies, it sends a message to the market that sustainability matters to the people that are buying products. It also helps shift entire industries towards greener and more sustainable practices. So, every purchase you make is a vote for the kind of world you want to see.
Why is policy, why is policy change important for helping the planet? And how
Well,
do you change
well,
policies?
policy change is part of part three of my book, which is called Greater Challenges. And the Greater Challenges section focuses on actions that require deeper commitment, community involvement, or long term thinking. These include rethinking waste systems, advocating for policy changes, as we discussed, promoting sustainable agriculture, addressing environmental justice, building sustainable communities, promoting animal rights and liberation. These actions go beyond personal lifestyle choices and move into collective transformation. So they're super essential for our long term survival as a species. And it's important to note that your individual choices matter. But when we're talking about the entire ship of humanity, systemic change is also necessary for a more sustainable future. So, policy change is important because laws and regulations shape the behavior of industries, governments, and communities. Individual actions, like going plant based, are powerful, but they can only go so far if the larger system continues to pollute or exploit resources. When we advocate for policies that protect ecosystems, reduce emissions, and support renewable energy, we create long lasting change that benefits everyone. Policy work may feel intimidating if you have never worked in that area before, but it's one of the most impactful ways to help the planet because you're making a difference at a macro level instead of a micro level.
Why? Um, your book also talks about the environmental justice. What does this mean?
Oh, well, environmental justice means recognizing that environmental harm does not affect all communities or all species equally. For example, within our own species, local low-income communities and communities of color often face higher pollution levels, fewer green spaces, and greater exposure to toxic industries. True sustainability must include fairness, making sure that all sentient beings have access to clean air, clean water, healthy food, and safe living conditions. Environmental justice reminds us that caring for the planet also means caring for each other and our fellow species.
Um, why does community engagement improve for the sustainability
Well,
for the
community
summit?
engagement is essential for sustainability because real change happens when people work together. So that's why it's important to find other people, like-minded people, to work along with. Whether it's starting a community garden, organizing a cleanup of your local environment, advocating for local policy changes, your collective action with others amplifies individual efforts. When you can walk in to a policy meeting with a petition that has 5,000 signatures, you say that I am here representing 5,000 people. Please imagine 5,000 people standing behind me supporting this idea. So you're not just one person whose voice is supporting that idea, but 5,000 people. And that's that's very important. It's important to engage your community and obtain their collective force behind you. So when people feel connected to others and to a movement, they're more likely to stay committed to sustainable living. Sustainability is not just about the environment, it's about relationships between each other that will form and ultimately change policy, but relationships with our fellow beings.
Um, what inspired you personally to live a sustainable lifestyle?
Oh, well, I think my inspiration comes from having had a deep love for nature and my fellow creatures since I was a child. I also feel a strong sense of responsibility toward future generations and towards, as a mother, towards leaving the future generations with a world that I would like to live in. A world where there is justice, where there is sustainable use of resources, and where all living sentient beings are treated kindly. I've always believed that humans are part of the natural world, not separate from it. We are all animals. And over the years, my scientific background and my vegan ethics have strengthened that belief. I realize that every choice we make, what we eat, what we buy, how we live, has an impact on our planet. So living sustainability is my way of honoring our Mother Earth and contributing to a healthier future for all.
Um, what does your science science background in inform you appear to the sustainability?
Oh, well, my scientific background is invaluable and it really influences my approach to sustainability because it helps me understand the ecological consequences of human behavior. It helps me understand how food choices affect our health, and it helps me understand the importance of evidence based solutions. I'm able to read the scientific literature and then explain what it really means to those who may not be comfortable reading scientific jargon. So, my scientific background helps me communicate complex ideas in a clear and practical way that others can understand. Science shows us that ecosystems are interconnected and fragile, and that our actions matter. Um, that knowledge motivates me to make choices that support ecological balance and to help others do the same.
What do you hope the readers will feel after reading your book?
Well, I hope my readers feel empowered and hopeful, not overwhelmed. I want them to understand that they can take steps towards achieving sustainability, and that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about starting where you are. Every action you take, no matter how small, contributes to can contribute to a healthier planet. So I'm just really laying out what those actions could be and what makes the most sense when it comes to choosing what actions to take, if you care. I also hope they feel inspired to explore new ways of living that bring them closer to nature, to their communities, to their own values, and to their own food production. My goal is for readers to walk away with a sense of possibility, purpose, and hope for a better future.
I hope they do too. Um, what is what is a simple action people can start today to help the planet with?
Well, I think that probably the most impactful thing anyone can do is start consuming a fully plant-based diet. There's no reason to eat any animal products. I personally haven't eaten any animal products for 26 years. I haven't eaten any meat for 46 years. Even though I might look like a young little tune, I'm actually much older. And I would just like to share that there are many people that consume a plant-based diet healthily for their entire lives. So all the the dietary associations state that a well-balanced plant-based diet is healthy for all stages of life. So, the time is now. The time is not now to be kinder to our fellow creatures, to be kinder to our planet, and to be healthier for our bodies because we live longer by 5 to 10 years, maybe more. I think it's probably more like 30 years if we don't consume animal products with any regularity. So, and I think we also need to become more mindful of our consumption, whether it's energy, water, food, or products. You can ask yourself, do I really need this? And maybe, is there a more sustainable option? Be selective with your consumption. Make it necessary, not just a want, but a need. Focus on the needs, not on your wants. I think even small shifts like choosing reusable items or reducing food waste can make a big difference over time. And it can also make a big difference when your choices are communicated to others so that they can also choose in the same way. Remember, it took someone to tell you somewhere that something was a better choice. So, make sure you're passing on your better choices to others. I think mindfulness in our lifestyles is the foundation of sustainable living. So let's do our best to be mindful of how we're affecting our other creatures, mindful of how we're affecting our shared ecosystems, and mindful of how we're affecting our environment. So be sustainable by being mindful.
How can people stay motivated on their sustainability journey?
Well, right. Well, it's one thing to start on the journey, and it's the other to stick on it, right? To stay on it. I think staying motivated to be on the sustainability journey becomes easier when you connect your actions to your values. Remember why you care, whether it's for animals, for future generations, your health, or the incredible beauty of nature. Surround yourself with supportive people, celebrate your progress, go for nature walks, and don't be discouraged by the occasional setback. Remember, sustainability is a lifelong journey, and every step you make on that path counts. When you see your actions as part of something meaningful, something important, something vital for the future of life on this planet, I think motivation naturally follows.
What is the final message you would like to share with our listeners?
Oh, well, gosh, I don't know if it's a final message, because, but today, I think I would really like to make sure that everyone understands that each of us has the power to make a difference. The planet doesn't need a few people living perfectly. It needs millions and billions of people making better choices each and every day. Sustainable living is not about sacrifice, it's about creating a healthier, more compassionate world for all sentient beings. So start where you are, do what you can, trust, and keep in mind that your actions do matter. And I think together we can build a future that's not only sustainable, but truly beautiful.
Thanks for having you today. It's
Thank you so
always
much, Vigani. I really appreciate you letting me join you on your show today. Thank you so much.
it's always lovely to have you. And next Saturday, if you're free, we can do another one.
Oh, yes. Just let me know what topic you'd like to choose.
I think the topic about uh, feminism extending to animals or so.
That is a powerful topic, and it's one I've been thinking about writing a book on for some time. So maybe I'll start working on a book next week on that topic, and then I'll be all ready to talk about it. Although I won't have a link yet, probably.
No, I can add a link later if you have the book out. But yeah, until next time, everybody.